What is going on, guys? Welcome to your 11th, I think, HTML5 tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be laying out our website, making it look pretty, because here's what we have so far. This website, and I have to admit, it's looking pretty good, but I don't think we're going to get any high-paying web design jobs with using this in our resume. So let's go ahead and jump over to our main CSS file and start laying this bad boy out. The very first thing I want to tackle is this big wrapper, pretty much this main div that wraps all the contents for your website. So in order to reference a div, just go ahead and hit the pound sign, big underscore wrapper, and now let's add some style to this piece. The first thing I want to do is just add a border, and I'm probably going to be adding a border to a lot of my stuff, just so you guys can see what's going on. So 1 pixel solid black. And after this, we need to set the width of our website. Now, if we go ahead and look at our website right now, if we highlight this, you can see that the blue goes from all the way from the left to the right. However, we don't want our website to take up the entire width of the browser. If we go look at websites like YouTube or something and we scroll out, we can see that they have some padding on the left and right, and their website isn't the entire width. So we want our website typically to be somewhere between 950 and 1000 pixels wide. So I like making mine 1000 pixels wide all the time, and the reason for this is because whenever we are fixing all the boxes and articles and stuff later on, 1000 is a nice number to work with mathematically. It's an easy one to remember, and some people use like 960, 980, but that's really hard whenever we're doing math later on. So now that we got our width of our website, we need to set the margins. Pretty much this is how we center the website. So if we hit margin, first we need to give it the top margin. Pretty much how much space is from our website to the top of the browser. And we just want to say, okay, 20 pixels from the top, because if it's right jammed up against the top of your browser, it looks a little weird. So give it some padding, somewhere from 10 to 20. Now for the left, right, and bottom, just go ahead and set those to auto. And this is essentially going to say, okay, I want an even amount of space on the left hand side and right hand side, and whatever happens on the bottom happens on the bottom. It really doesn't matter. But this pretty much is centering your website. So if you go ahead and save this and look at our website, oops, still on YouTube there, and refresh, if we scroll out, we can see that, okay, we got 20 pixels of spacing from the top of your browser to the top of your website, or excuse me, whatever this thing's called, to the top of your website, and also the same amount of space on the left hand side and right hand side. And now our website is perfectly centered. How awesome is that? So the only other thing we have to do in this big wrapper is left align text. So text align left. Now what this basically means is even though the box itself is centered, the contents inside the box are going to be left aligned, right like that. So as you can see, the overall website is centered inside our browser. However, the contents are left aligned, and that is just because, whenever you're reading a magazine or a newspaper, the stuff's left aligned, so websites are no different. So let's go ahead, and now we want to work on the top menu. Now the top menu is basically this thing right here. If we scroll in, and we can see that the home, tutorials, and podcasts, it's basically our links. So let's go over and work on that. In main CSS, reference this by hitting top menu, or excuse me, top header, not header, top header. And actually, let's go ahead and look at our HTML. So our top menu is basically the list of links. And our top header is where we have it's where we would put the logo and pretty much the title of our website. So I forgot about that, so we need to take care of that first. So what we want to do is, again, I'm going to be putting some weird colors on our website, but that's just so you guys can see visually and easily what's going on. And this is what you guys should do whenever you're laying out a website for the first time. But once you got your website laid out, then you can get rid of the colors and make them all match. However, if I make all the colors match now, then you're like, okay, what part's the header, what part's the article? So I'm going to be giving it weird colors. So I'm going to be giving this a background of yellow. That'll stand out pretty good. and a border of, I don't know, 1 pixel solid blue. Now also, I'm going to be giving the top header a padding of, let's say, 20 pixels. And this will pretty much make sure that the text is kind of separate and it isn't butting right up against the border. Now, in case you guys forgot from my CSS tutorials, the space between the text and the border, or the element in the border, is the padding, and the margin is the space outside the border. So pretty much just remember it like this: the padding is inside and the margin is outside. So if we go ahead and save this and look at it, we can see that, okay, we are good to go. So pretty much the padding is this: the space between the text itself and the border. Pretty cool. So we now have a yellow background and a blue border. Looking good. So now let's go ahead and jump over to this top menu, and we can do that by referencing pound top underscore menu. And what rules do we want to apply to that top navigation menu? Well, let's just go ahead and set the background and set this equal to, I don't know, blue. And we'll just go ahead and set the color of the font equal to white. Blue and white is actually my two favorite colors. Now, if we go ahead and save this, we can go ahead and refresh and say, okay, I'm noticing a couple things. First of all, it looks pretty crappy. I'll go ahead and admit it. I mean, our links, those are kind of very poor way to display our links, because first of all, they're one under each other, no navigation bars, one under each other. They're always from left to right. And also, it would be nice if they were like bold or something. So let's go ahead and take care of that problem right now. Now, what we need to do in order to do this is reference top menu again. So top underscore menu, and we need to reference the list items. Now, I'm going to be doing a couple things to these list items, and if you remember, in our top menu, it's basically made up of an unordered list with 3 list items. Now, I actually would make these links later on, but for now they're just list items since we don't have any other websites. So let's go ahead and change a couple things to these list items. The very first thing I want to do is make sure that these things appear from left to right instead of stacked up on top of each other. So the reason that they are stacked up one then under, pretty much tutorials is under home and podcast is under tutorials instead of appearing from left to right, is because they are block level elements instead of inline. So we need to change that, and we do that by hitting display inline block, and this will make sure that they appear from left to right. So let's go ahead and refresh this, and as you can see, they now appear from left to right. Pretty sweet, huh? So now let's go ahead and make them look a little bit prettier. List style, and I'm just going to go ahead and change this equal to none. So in some browsers, they may have a little bullet on the side or maybe a little star depending on the browser. We're pretty much saying we don't want any symbol, no bullets or anything. And now let's just go ahead and give it some padding, because if we look, they're kind of jammed up against one another. So we'll give it a padding of 5 pixels, and this will make the overall top menu a little bit bigger, make it look a little bit prettier. And I want to change the font too, because that font was really ugly looking. And I'll just change it to, I don't know, bold. How many pixels? 14 is probably good. And Tahoma, you gotta love Tahoma. So, okay, let me make sure everything looks pretty good and refresh this. Go ahead and refresh it, and it's good to go. So now we have a little more space between the border and the elements themselves. They're now appearing left to right, and 14 pixels bold Tahoma. Wow, there's like a car crash going on outside or something. So anyways, if we go ahead and look at our website, it's looking pretty good right now, but we still have a lot to go, and I'm still going to show you guys the coolest things, how to lay things out, and make sure that these articles appear in an awesome kind of way. So anyways, you got a lot to cover. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.